Hi everyone. We just talked briefly in first year Hebrew about Psalm 121. You don't know all the forms in this psalm, but you know a lot of them. There's a lot we can do in this psalm, so we ran out of time, so we'll go through it in this video. You can just follow along with this video or open up BHS if you want to. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this on my YouTube channel. It doesn't follow our pattern of servant songs, which I was hoping to get back to. I will get back to that eventually. I want to, and I'm trusting I will. If you're not living in the UK, London has gone into another lockdown, and it's made it just, a bit more frantic and more to do, but I haven't forgotten. So for those of you who aren't in my first year Hebrew class, this is me fulfilling a promise to them. I will explain things probably at a somewhat lower level, but hopefully this can be interesting to everyone. Psalm 121, the title is Shir Lama'alot. Shir means song, and hopefully, perhaps, you can recognize, first-year students, the ayin and the lamed inside here, and the feminine plural ending. The root here is Allah, to go up, and it's a noun form of the root with a mem on the front. So something like what goes up, or an ascent, or a stair, or something like that. So in English, we try to get this with songs of ascents, and I haven't read anything about this for a while, but they're often apparently associated with pilgrimages to Jerusalem, and that's reflected in a lot of the psalms themselves. So Shir Lama'alot, a song of ascent. Esa Ainai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Azri. Now, as I read these lines out loud, I'd like you to pause the video and say this out loud, because that is what will really help Hebrew stick. So I won't be pausing every time, but please do you pause and do that as we go through this. Just erasing little pen marks from last time I did this. So hopefully you've read verse 1 out loud now. Hopefully you can recognize in Esa, you've got an aleph out front, and then a sin and an aleph here. Hopefully you can recognize the root is nasa, to lift up or be high. The nun has assimilated, that's why you have a doubled sin, and the aleph out front tells you one CS, cal, and perfect. So I lift, and then object. Your ayin is your I, and the patach yod goes on a plural noun. So I lift my eyes, El, to the harim, to the mountains. Now, may ayin, this is the prefix min. It's been mashed onto the front of the word, and ayin is a preposition that means where. So from where, yavo, bo means to come or go, yod out front, 3ms, cal, and perfect. And ezri, I don't know if we've had this as a verb yet, or as a noun. Ezer, azar, or ezer, it means to help. At the end of Genesis 2, when God creates Eve as a helper, and the Hebrew is literally like to opposite Adam, he makes her as ezer. And here it's referring to God with a 1cs just a 1cs suffix. Let me get rid of my writing here. So literally, from where comes my help? Or in English we would say, from where does my help come from? Verse 2, Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz. Let's go ahead and pronounce that. Ezri, my help, and then me'im, this is min that's been added on, and then im, as in Emmanuel, with, God with us. This happens in the Old Testament. Im has sometimes, I suppose most languages do this, Hebrew mashes together two prepositions. Here in English it still means with, and it can be used in a couple different ways, one of which is like source or authorship, where something comes from, which is what it means here. You can notice you've got a long I tsere, because normally the nun would assimilate and you get a double root letter, but ayin is guttural, so you can't really double a guttural letter. It's so far back in your throat. So you just lengthen the previous vowel. So my help from Yahweh. Oseh shamayim va'aretz. The heavens and the earth you know. This root you recognize as do or make. This is a form we have not done yet. It's a participle. You know that because it goes high, low. It's a coattail form. That is chapter 22, I think. We have not done yet. A participle in English is usually an ing verb. So asa means to make. And a participle can be used as a verb or a noun. It straddles the line. It's kind of halfway. And here it's being used substantively as a noun. So Yahweh, the one making shamayim va'aretz. Something really beautiful and interesting going on here with the heavens. The hills. I lift up my eyes to the hills. I'm not quite sure I know what that means, but it's like all of creation is being invoked and forms the context and boundary for God's help of the individual pilgrim. Who's going to help this guy? Where does his help come from? Not his own resources, not any other friends. My help is from the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. The one who personally... So, Shamayim Va'aretz is the basic Hebrew categorization of created reality. It sums up everything God made in Genesis 1. The one person who put the universe together is your personal helper. All Yitain, let me turn back to blue and not green. All Yitain Lamot Ragleka, all Yanum Shomereka. So all means not, and Yitain, hopefully you can recognize Natan hiding in there, 3ms Calum perfect. So he will not give Lamot Ragleka. Hopefully you can recognize Regel hiding inside there. Your foot. And then we have the lamed prefix. This is a noun you haven't had yet. It means stumbling. He will not give your foot to stumbling. In English, we probably say he will not let your foot stumble. Hebrew is wonderfully concrete, where English tends to be abstract. If you've ever rolled or sprained or broken an ankle, you know what a horrible feeling it is. All of a sudden, you're lying on the ground and your foot hurts. God's protection means much more than just you'll be able to keep walking on this journey. It means spiritually and existentially. He will not let you fall. That's what the maker of heaven and earth does personally for you. Not only that, all Yanum Shomereka. So, Noom is a word you haven't had yet. Noom just means sleep. And the yod out front tells you 3ms Calum perfect. And we have, do you see the holum here in front of shamar? It's the same form as here. So shamar, the root here, if it's spelled with a holum and then a tsere, that's Hebrew's form of a participle. So he does not sleep, the one guarding you. It's a participle with a 2ms suffix on the end. So the poetry is explaining itself and unfolding itself and taking one step after another as it goes. Where's the help? Who is the help? It's Yahweh, the one who made everything. Okay, how? Verse 3 defines and explains Ezri. How is he a help? Two ways. He doesn't let you stumble. He doesn't let your life fall apart. And not only that, he's never asleep at the wheel. He never takes a day off. There's no cigarette breaks. 100% of the time, you have his full and complete attention. He is never too distracted to give you his full attention. It's easy to believe in the doctrine of omniscience and yet remain uncomforted by it. And he guards you individually. He guards or watches you. Now, Hebrew poetry has a way of constantly trying to top itself. It will always say this, and then it'll try to say something more. We see this in verse 4. Hine lo yanum velo yeshan, shomer Yisrael. Go ahead and pronounce that. Hine is behold, lo yanum, same phrase from previous verse. He does not sleep. And lo yashan, yashan means to sleep. Or be asleep or something. And it's just another Cal 3ms imperfect. Behold, and in English we have to say something like, behold, he does not slumber, he does not sleep. Shomer Yisrael. It's the same form here. It's been written with the holum vav, not just a holum, but it's the same form. the one guarding Israel. So emphatically, expansively, there is no way God is not giving you 1,000% of his attention every second of every day, and he's doing it for all of God's people all the time. The one guarding you is the one guarding Israel. Yahweh shomereka, Yahweh tzileka, al yad yemineka. So, Yahweh shomereka, this is getting awfully cramped on the screen, sorry about this. Shomereka is the same form all the way back there. It's a participle, which we haven't had yet, the one guarding you. So we have three distinct phrases here. Yahweh is the one guarding you. Yahweh, Tseol, is a noun that means shadow. So Yahweh Tzileka, your shadow, that means something like Yahweh is the one overshadowing you. As you're sitting at your desk watching this, God is directly, personally overshadowing you, like you're in his shadow. That's how close he is. All Yad, on your hand. What I love about this is it goes from ka, you, to your hand, more specifically and more intimately. As your hands are on the desk and you're writing, Yahweh's overshadowing your hand, and Yemineka. Yamin means your right hand. So it's literally, Yahweh is the one guarding you, Yahweh is the one overshadowing you on your hand, comma, your right hand. If you look at English translations, they usually just get rid of that, because it doesn't quite work in English, and they're trying to come up, with something comprehensible. And yet, there's a deepening intimacy in God's overshadowing presence, from you to your hand to even your right hand, as a kind of summary for who you are as a person. God, in other words, the one guarding you, it's stated generally here for all God's people here, and then progressively with deeper intimacy in verse 5. What else does God's guarding presence look like? Well, we learned in verse 3, he won't give your foot to stumble. Verse 5, Yomam Hashemesh, verse 6, we already did verse 5. Verse 6, Yomam Hashemesh lo yakeka ve'areach balayla. Yomam is yom, today. This is an adverb, it just means daily, every day. Hashemesh, the sun, lo yakakeh. Now, for first-year students, this is a hiphil form we have not had yet. It's an imperfect, you know that from the yod, of naka, and the nun has assimilated. And there's a 2ms suffix on the end, like that. It's written with a comet's hey on the end, I think because of this peculiar verb form. I looked it up, and every time the hiphil imperfect of naka is used with the 2ms suffix, it's spelled this way with an extra hey on the end. I assume that's for pronunciation because part of the verb has reduced, although I don't know. Naka means to strike. By day the sun will not strike you. Yareach is the moon, and Balayla in the night. Do you see how comprehensive verse 6 is? The sun and the moon, they're not the only things in creation, but they stand for the whole. And day and night, that counts for all time. So what it means that God is guarding you, there is nothing in creation that can hurt you. Because he's the creator of the heavens and the earth, you are utterly, absolutely safe. Expanding on this, Yahweh Yishmereka. Do you see the Cal 3ms imperfect verb with the 2ms suffix? He will guard you, mikol ra. That's a short o comet's hatuf. The vocab word is kol, all. And the makef that joins these two words, it means you slur them together, mikol ra. So you reduce this to a short o comet's hatuf. Yahweh will guard you from all evil. Yeshmor nafsheka. He will guard your life. Yahweh, Yeshmor, he will guard. Now these two forms we have not had yet. I suppose I should have waited on this a little bit. We're going to do infinitive constructs next week, and that's what these are. You can still see the 2ms suffix. This is from yatsa, to go out, and bo here is pretty flexible in general, but here it means to go in. This is translated as Yahweh will guard your going out, and your coming in from now unto forever. So you get guarding in verse 7, and it's very general. Any evil. In verse 8, it becomes very specific. When you go out in the morning, when you come back, when you go out in the morning, when you come back when you step out the door after breakfast and go to your office, the creator of the heavens and earth, who never sleeps, is walking with you. And then it expands in time. There will never be a time when you are not under the protective presence of God. If you read this psalm out loud 50 or 100 times, it will tell you everything that it wants to tell you. It will be better than any commentary. The way each clause builds on the last has a kind of cumulative effect. If you say it out loud, the all-pervasive, protective presence of God will sort of settle over you in a really wonderful, calming, comforting way. And you'll be different after you read it. I find if you're like me, I have to read it like 50 times out loud before it has any effect. One of the ways it does this is through repetition. Do you see how often shamar is used? I'm not going to delete all this. You get shamar, shomer, 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 shomer. 1, 2, 3, 5 times. You feel protected when you're done. I really like Psalm 121. And again, I mean, if if this text still feels a little bit flat to you, say it 3 or 4 times out loud every day for a month and see what starts to happen. Verse 7 was given you in your homework, and I was looking through the homework trying to find good devotional stuff. That's what caught my eye. So that's Psalm 127. Please leave a comment or email me if you've got any questions about this. Thank you, everyone.